What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are going to talk about look at the man's face right there. He knew at that point. He had already signed everything over. He already knew what he had done. I think he probably had good faith in Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, but I think he immediately knew, I've done messed up. But he tried to soldier on, soldier forward, but eventually the truth comes out, and here we are now. The truth has finally come out. So this is an interview that George Lucas did with Kathleen Kennedy after the purchase of Lucasfilm by Disney and naming her the president. This is on Jar Jar Abrams' channel. So let's listen to this, and then we're going to have to talk more about it, because Kathleen Kennedy is a liar, and we have proof of it.
I always said I wasn't going to do any more, and that's true, because I'm not going to do any more. But that doesn't mean I'm unwilling to turn it over to Kathy to do more. Mm-hmm. I have story treatments of 7, 8, and 9, and a bunch of other movies, and obviously we have hundreds of books and comics and everything you could possibly imagine. So, I sort of moved that treasure trove of stories and various things to Kathy, and I have complete confidence that she's going to take them and make great movies. I'm doing this so that the films will have a longer life.
Look at her. She knows.
Make great movies.
Look at her. He just sit there and said he has story treatments for 7, 8, and 9, and he's going to trust her to make great movies. It's what he said. I'm listening again.
I sort of moved that treasure trove of stories and various things to Kathy, and I have complete confidence that she's going to take them and make great movies.
This is a terrible person right here. She is a terrible person.
I'm doing this so that the films will have a longer life, and so that more fans and people can enjoy them into the future. It's a very big universe I've created, and there's a lot of stories that are sitting in there.
The main thing is to protect these characters. Make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
I just said that I would.
In the way that they still can.
And there's a lot of stories that are sitting in there.
Listen to this one more time.
The main thing is to protect these characters. Make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
I just said that I would back her up, and I would be there if. And especially helping with the script and making sure the script there's a lot of blank spots in the story treatment that hopefully we can fill in. And
I think the incredible thing about George is, this is not like a series of books like Harry Potter where you've already got a template of what the stories might be. These are original stories and original ideas that come out of a world that essentially is in George's head. So.
Did you catch that? In George's head.
The beauty of the collaboration that can continue is, as we work our way through these scripts, if we're sitting and saying, I wonder if this character can do that, or does this make sense within the rules of Star Wars? That really, he's the keeper of the flame when it comes to that.
It's the same thing with the first 3 films. That's all my job is to be the keeper of the flame. Well, it's based on human behavior, human psychology, mythology, which is the sort of archaeology of human behavior and thinking. And since it has those motifs, it is very universal, and everybody can relate to it. It's about good and evil in us, as well as our institutions. Mm-hmm. So, and the idea that some of us think we're really great people, but in the real world we're not. We're terrible people.
Or you can make bad choices.
Well, you make bad choices, but you run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's how do democracies turn back into dictatorships? Why do people who have the power to have the freedom turn it over to somebody who's going to take it all away from them? It's happened through history forever and ever, and all Star Wars is a way of updating that idea to say, watch out, because there are people out there who don't play by the rules, And if you're not careful, you're going to lose all your freedom.
Kathleen Kennedy.
At the same time, those people who may not play by the rules because they're selfish and greedy turn themselves into evil people
Kathleen
who don't
Kennedy.
care about other people.
There you go. The essence
Playing
of Star
out
Wars.
today.
You know, I have a tremendous amount to learn from George. There's things that that I want to preserve within the spirit of this company, and as it moves into Disney, I think it's vitally important to anything we create that we hold on to the spirit of what started all of this.
I wasn't going to do anymore.
God, you gotta be kidding me. This woman is unbelievable. Again, if you're watching this video right now and you actually believe anything that comes out of that woman's mouth, if you believe that they have done right by George Lucas and Star Wars, you are not paying attention. You can like these movies. I'm not saying you can't like the Disney movies. Maybe you weren't a big Star Wars fan before. Maybe you didn't really care about it. Maybe this is something you started paying attention because of the Disney marketing machine. I don't have a problem with that. Don't tell me that these are Star Wars movies, though, because they're not. They're Star Wars in name only. They're Disney's Star Wars. This is not George Lucas's Star Wars. This is not Star Wars. This is social justice propaganda is what it is. Now, let's move on. Remember what she said, right? Remember what she said, right?
Story treatments of 7, 8, and 9 and a bunch of other movies, and obviously we have hundreds of books and comics and everything you could possibly imagine. So, you know, I sort of moved that treasure trove of stories and various things to Kathy, and you know, I have complete confidence that she's going to take them and make great movies. I'm doing this.
And of course, she said that they're going to honor George's stories and the characters he's created. Now, this is from the recent interview with Bob Iger. Bob Iger on George sending his outlines for the sequel trilogy. At some point in the process, George told me he had completed outlines for the 3 movies. He agreed to send us 3 copies of the outline. One for me, one for Alan Braverman, and one for Alan Horn, who'd just been hired to run our studio. Alan Horn and I read George's outline and decided we needed to buy them, though we made it clear in the purchase agreement that we would not be contractually obligated to adhere to the plot lines he laid out. On George's new role of creative authority, he knew that I was going to stand firm on the question of creative control, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. I promised that we would be open to his ideas. This was not a hard promise to make. Of course we would be open to George Lucas's ideas. On revealing to George they weren't following his plot outlines. Early on, Kathy brought JJ and Michael Arndt to Northern California to meet with George at his ranch and talk about their ideas for the film. George immediately got upset as they began to describe the plot, and it dawned on him they weren't using one of his stories he submitted during the negotiations. These people are horrible. Now, let's listen to this interview right here. And I love the title from Jar Jar Abrams, because it's so accurate. So accurate how they talk about George like he's no longer with us. Like they can't pick up the phone and talk to him. They just treat him like he's not there.
I did pose this provocative idea, who is Luke Skywalker, that would be something that was said by one of our characters.
Why was "Who is Luke Skywalker" such a fascinating question?
I guess because it spoke to a new generation. It was that idea that there would be young people for whom Luke Skywalker was essentially a myth.
There isn't a day that goes by or went by as we were making the movie where we don't talk about George. You know, it's the standard, what would George do? One of the things...
What would he do? He would give you the sequel trilogy outline that you purchased, and you should do that. You should take George Lucas's ideas, and you should use them. But you want to sit here. You want to sit here and ask that stupid fucking question.
Making the movie where we don't talk about George. You know, it's the standard, what would George do? One of the things that we talked about very early on was
This woman is unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. So this is where we're at with all of this. This is where we're at. Disney Star Wars is a complete and total epic disaster on every single possible level. It is not even close. And anyone that's still not willing to admit that at this point is blind and they have their head in the sand. I've said many times, I like the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine because I'm not a Deadpool fan. So I kind of had fun with the fact that they sewed Deadpool's mouth shut. Do I think it's a good representation of Deadpool as a character? No! Absolutely not. And I totally understand why Deadpool fans hate that movie and that interpretation of the character, because it's not the character. Just because I like it doesn't make it good. Just because you like the sequel trilogy doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it honoring Star Wars. You can like it, and that's okay. But it's not good Star Wars. Absolutely not. And Bob Iger has exposed everything with the sequel trilogy and Disney's treatment. Galaxy's Edge is a disaster. The Last Jedi was a disaster. Solo was a disaster. The Force Awakens obviously was a success from a financial standpoint, and a lot of people, present party included, fell for it. But ultimately, the truth has finally come out. I am blown away by this. I am truly blown away by this. But this is where we're at. This is where we're going to continue to be. The Rise of Skywalker is upon us in a few months. And Force Friday is upon us in a few days, I think. And I just don't think Disney's in a I think Lucasfilm and Star Wars is in a horrific place. Horrific place. And again, if you're still defending this as good Star Wars movies, you're just not paying attention. Because they're not. You can like them, and that's okay. But they're not good movies. They're absolutely horrible. Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys very much for checking out this video, and we will talk to you later. Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from geeksandgamers.com, and if you're a fan of Geeks and Gamers, please go to our website, visit our merchandise store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, tank tops, and in the very near future, we're going to have many more products for you to choose from. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.